All right, so Leo is using Oxmod and secondary battery. Now, it's a Scharnhorst. The important thing about Scharnhorst is that she's got torpedoes. If you don't want your torpedoes destroyed, then you need to change this to main battery mod 1, or main armaments mod 1, because this will help your torpedo tubes live longer. So you have to make that decision, secondary guns or torpedo tubes. Personally, I'd probably go torpedo tubes.
He's also using preventive maintenance as sort of help, I guess, for the torps.
Preventive maintenance does help the torpedoes, right? And if it's Lutyens, it is buffed. I'm guessing it's Lutyens because I'm seeing the first two. But anyways, I would definitely use the spotting aircraft here and not the fighter consumable. We talked about it before. It increases your range. It flies a little bit farther out from where you are, and it's up for a little bit longer than the fighter. And fighters don't really do much against carriers anymore. Now, we're going to assume that you're using Lutyens. As you can see, you've got buffed preventive maintenance. Is great for keeping your torpedo tubes alive. And you've got buffed grease the gears, obviously great for your main battery. Although, if you look at it, your main battery already turns pretty damn fast. 20 seconds for 180 degrees. That's crazy. Then you've got Adrenaline Rush and Concealment Expert. Okay. Those are all, I mean, those are good skills to start with. Go ahead.
Just interesting that someone has only a 10-point captain.
Well, if this is Lutyens, you might have just got him.
Yeah, probably.
So, I'm gonna say it this way though: if you want to do like a full secondary thing, you might be better off going with long range secondary and manual battery aiming. You might want to get those two as your first two picks going down to tier 10 or your 10 points. Alternately, you could do Adrenaline Rush and Fire Prevention instead of Concealment. We kind of showed in the last game how Fire Prevention might be more effective than Concealment. Might.
I would honestly do it the opposite way. Like, if you only have that 10-point captain, I would probably not spec out the ship for secondaries yet. So, because the secondaries require a little bit a higher point of captain, and once you have that point, you can easily change these modules out.
Correct.
I would definitely just change the first module.
Yeah, I think this one.
The second one with flags if this is your build.
Agreed. Okay. And then for signals, you've got anti-air, you've got speed, you've got secondaries, heal, more fire chance, less chance that you're going to be on fire, less duration of fire, less duration of flooding, and you are also not using protection. Okay. Let's get the game going and see what happens.
Awkward spawn there. Only 2 ships on the egg.
So, Valiant, if you upgraded Concealment to maximum secondary range, so if you changed it over to secondary range, there's a bit of a bigger gap between when you're detected and your secondaries are effective. That is true. So what you have to do is you have to get used to playing the ship more like a cruiser and using islands as a way to hop up closer to the enemy. For example, if he's planning on going to A, if Leo's planning on going to A, then you don't want to just go straight into A. You'd go a little bit farther out, and then you'd use maybe the island at Bravo 3-4 to block your concealment. And that gives you a chance to get closer to the enemy before they can do anything about you. So you have to change up your play style if you're using concealment or not, in my opinion.
I mean, I think the other big factor is we're talking about a tier 7 versus like 8, 9, 10. Where you can use the concealment and your secondaries. Unless you're going down to poison line.
There's always a rather large gap between your concealment and the secondary range, though, no matter what.
Well, I mean, you gotta remember, this is Scharnhorst, and it's been out for how long? And it's been out like when GK was in the tech tree line. So there really wasn't much concealment after that change went through.
Did the Scharnhorst actually get the buffed dispersion treatment the tech tree?
I don't think so.
German CVs got?
I don't think it did. All right. Let's take a look at your setup, by the way. Congratulations. You struck it big because you're top tier. And there are tier 5s. You got a carrier to sub, though, to deal with, so... yeah.
Well, you're right and wrong. That's not the only reason why such builds work on those ships. They also fire extremely fast.
Mm-hmm. Rivers 2, how's it going? So,
the reason they work on Schlieffen is just because it has so many secondary. And you have that improved healing too.
I mean, if you're playing the... yeah, if you're playing the German tech tree battlecruiser line, then I can see the argument for going concealment. This is a premium ship, so it's possible that Legions is going to go on the Schlieffen. So, you know, I could definitely see it if that's the case.
I mean, I think that's the biggest question is what ship does this captain normally sit upon?
Right.
Unfortunate that the submarine is here.
Yeah, you're also taking a lot of damage early on. Again, that goes back to my initial discussion about where to position. In this case, Concealment Expert didn't help at all. You still basically allowed yourself to get spotted. I think your better play is to head towards the safety of that island at Bravo 3-4 until you know exactly what you're up against. Also, kill this York. Why are you not... there you go. Nagato kills him. Gotta heal.
At this point, I would just turn around and run. You're so heavily outnumbered on this cap.
He is heavily outnumbered. I agree with you there.
The Sarah is already down to half HP too, almost.
Yeah. So the problem
just
with
hide
the...
back, go and let the others flank win and fully come over.
Hopefully. But the problem with the Scharnhorst...
around here, the dicier the situation gets.
And the problem with the Gneisenau is they're such faster ships than normal battleships. You get yourself into trouble a lot quicker. You know, get out of trouble quickly too.
That's what I meant with the initial spawn is so awkward. There only was 2 ships on this side. But the enemy can pass. It's rough.
Valiant, that's true. If your concealment is extending past their max secondary range, then sure, that obviously is going to reduce the effectiveness of the secondaries. So, again, that's when you've got to find creative ways to get closer to the enemy without, you know, getting farmed down to nothingness.
You're actually wrong there. The original secondary battleship, and I hope everybody's sitting down for this, was the Yamato.
And I might add another one that was a very, very popular pick for secondaries was the Colorado. Because at tier 7, it had the greatest secondary range at 7.2 kilometer. And it fired HE secondaries, whereas Japanese battleships fired AP. Oof. Should have waited until that King George beached, but you probably didn't know that was coming. I like your use of depth charges there. You know the sub is in that general area. The question is, how close is he? Here, I might be shooting HE at the King George. Which one? I was talking about the Colorado. Because the Colorado had 7.2 kilometer range on the secondaries and HE secondaries.
Man, those were the times, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you got excited about these ranges on secondaries.
Oh, yeah. 2 penetrations. Okay. Now, if you are bottom tier in the Scharnhorst, you absolutely want to be spamming HE more than anything else. Especially against, I should say, against higher tier battleships.
The original secondary battleship was the Yamato, is what I said.
Yeah.
I don't like that you're stopping. Not even reversing.
Well, it's okay for right now because you've got a Nagato that's going to take all the aggro. And fortunately, he actually manages to kill the sub for you. Now, once he's dead, it's going to be the Zara or you that's going to take the hits. And it's probably going to be the Zara next because crews are squishy.
Yeah, but the Colorado should be shooting him. He's showing way too much side to these battleships.
But this is randoms.
Fair.
So, looking at the mini-map... Where's my cursor? Looking at the mini-map, Grundy is talking about this Colorado here that has a decent broadside on the Zara. The question, though, is he shooting instead at the New York, who is broadside to him, right? Or is he shooting at the Zara? Oh yeah, Duckman. We got dirty water going. Here you go. And welcome back, everybody. We have jumped back up to 152 because I'm guessing Warships Main has done their raid. Last week they raided me, and it was really nice of them. Extremely nice.
Not good for a while.
I don't think they have raided anybody.
There was a comment about raiding non-English speaking people, so my guess is that's what that was.
Oof.
All right. I got your replay ready to go, Puddin'. A little early on that shot, you lost your rear turret. Oh my god, the New York is still alive. There it goes. Okay. All is right in the world. They raided a stream that doesn't allow English. Ah. Well, whatever.
What?
It's kind of, in my opinion, that's a bit of a waste. But hey, you know what? If they're gonna raid something, whatever. That's their choice.
Well, I mean, then again, don't they just raid CCs?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think they only raid CCs.
I've never seen them raid a non-CC.
Warships Main raided Miss Patriot on, what was that, Saturday for Clash of the Classes?
I think that might be an exception, but that wasn't their, like, normal stream, you know what I'm saying?
Fair, but I'm just saying, you said never, and I gave one example.
It's still never.
Okay.
Exceptions don't count. That's
Oh,
the
okay.
normal stream. That's not the stream I'm talking about. But I get you. I think their normal stream they don't, and if it's obviously anything tournament related, they hit somebody in the tournament. And two, we can blame Bogsy for that.
Okay. Let's take a look at the minimap for a second. Here's a bit of a mistake in my opinion. You're turning back in, and you are essentially giving a broadside to that King George, who you don't know about. You just looked in his direction. So I don't like this decision. If you were going to turn back in, I would have turned back towards A3 and essentially, you know, gotten that spot first. Good, he's shooting HE now.
I would have just put my nose at the Colorado, because it guarantees the angle against the Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
And it should be enough to where if the KGV does shoot, you just turn towards him.
Well, KGV does shoot now.
Also banking on the fact that the KGV is shooting HE, which...
Yep.
I mean, there is that. It's like, it is a known HE slinging battleship too.
True.
But it's not like the HE doesn't just slap everybody.
I don't like your changing target here. You got the Colorado to use damage control party. I'd like to have seen you at least try to follow up with the fire. So, Dragon, what I'm saying is, I wouldn't have gone to Delta 3, because again, you're allowing the King George on your side, and you're putting yourself in front of 3 enemy players. I would have gone to Alpha 3. You can see, I think you guys can see my mouse cursor, right? You go to Alpha 3, because what that does is if the King George pushes out of A, now you've got his broadside. Boom, you kill him. Go into Alpha, get the free points in the cap. Now, the Colorado and Indirect have to deal with either you in A or the Congo in B. It splits their attention and their fire. Going to Delta 3, which is kind of the direction you're heading right now, puts you out in front of 3 enemies. Which is kind of a guaranteed way to get yourself focused to death.
You put yourself into a crossfire here, which you didn't have to do and pretty much never want to do.
But at the same point, I don't disagree with his decision to go this route. I think his angling could have been better. There are 2 ships that have clearly ignored him. Oh, 2 of them are in front of him. Who? The Colorado and the cruiser. I would have stopped focusing. Either you continue firing on the Colorado, because the sooner he dies, everybody shooting him can help you out, where you ignore the Colorado and deal with the threat to you, i.e. the King George.
Right. Now, your comments about bowing in and reversing, I hate doing that in just about any battleship out there. Especially something like the Scharnhorst that's got the maneuverability and the speed to get to where it needs to go. So, I don't like that. Also, look, the Serov is there. Had you gone to Alpha 3, dispatched the King George, you'd be in position to go kill the carrier, which everybody loves to do. Oh, you're getting Dutch ovened and torpedoed. Oof. Now you're
nice and cozy. I don't like focusing on the carrier here. This is like the typical see the carrier, need to kill the carrier thing.
He's full health. If he was low health and like 1 hit from death, absolutely. Focus the Indirect and the Colorado.
I don't blame him for shooting the carrier, because the carrier is a threat to him because he is so far forward. But yeah, now you're in dealing with the cruiser. Just go right at the cruiser.
And now you
done more damage to him than the CV has.
You completely stopped with skip bombers coming in. Just think about that for a second. You lost the only way to really counter, and then on top of that, the Indirect can now Dutch oven you.
This is why you do not stop or in reverse the bow tank in a carrier game. You're just too easy of a target.
Mm-hmm. All right, now you've got no heals left. You are
now you have
burning.
to go after the Colorado. You have to ignore everything else and go after Colorado.
Yeah. You gotta hope the carrier focuses the Congo, which looks like he's doing right now with his torpedo bombers. You're very lucky that he's doing that. Exactly, Sea Raptor. Your speed and maneuverability keeps, and the Scharnhorst is so maneuverable that to completely stop is basically countering your own abilities. Here comes the possible death pick. Let's get ready for it. Yes! Yes! Y'all know how much I love me a death pick, huh?
Well, I mean, having all your HP also helps you stay alive, Sea Raptor.
Good song choice, by the way, for this moment.
Secondary hits in this game, 0.
And does it matter?
Like, it's not a secondary spec. Like, he has a 10-point captain. None of his captain skills are for secondaries.
Right.
So...
I'm very good about planning for death, yes. Ad popped right on the death shot? Really, Drake? Ah, damn, it is in progress. Okay. I normally try to do that outside the replays, but we got stuck talking, I think. Oh well, sorry about that, guys.
I blame Miss Patriot.
Congo manages to kill the Colorado, so the Congo manages to do what you couldn't. Tier 5. So, you know, I think that the biggest... It was exactly on death, go figure. I think the biggest thing here is when you're not sure what to do, and we talked about this with Clash of the Classes, the default decision that most players do is if they're not sure what to do, they push W and they go in. And that's what got you killed. You don't have to push W. You could push it once, twice. You don't have to push it 4 times. You push W 4 times, and then when you weren't sure, you hit S to stop and back up. That really hurt. Fortunately, it's just a carrier left, so I'm pretty sure it's clean up on L5 and you're going to win this game. But hopefully you got some good feedback for what to do differently next time. No, I wasn't trying to troll you. I would never troll you guys with ads. I think that's just mean. Absolutely freaking mean.
Hell,
This
even
is
I
where you
wouldn't do
press the
that.
button and play another one, Sal.
This is a good educational replay, absolutely. I'm going to write that down as a replay. I want to make sure it gets posted today. Today is the 16th. Just so you guys know, I've got a list of all my replays that need to be posted. This is Clash of the Classes here, and that's just the playoffs. And then here is day 1 and 2. Like, oh my god. So it'll get put out there. I don't know when. All right, nice kill on the Serov. Let's pull up the render. Here it is. Unfortunately, I don't think that Z42 replay is worth putting out on YouTube. I mean, it's entertaining, but there's really not much to learn from it, really. The
only
Kerfers
thing to
game.
learn from that is don't be on the red team.
Yeah, right, exactly. The Kerfers game, Grunty's game.
I don't
What do you
think
guys
there's
think?
to learn about it either.
Not much? Okay.
I don't think so.
And
was just
I don't...
like- It
Go
was
ahead.
good for me because I don't play a lot of battleships and I was happy with it, but it's not that it was outstanding, amazingly good.
Not a lot to learn from it. So, okay. I mean, I don't want you to be offended if I don't put it out there. It's just, you know, I don't have a lot of room for replays anymore, believe it or not. For this one, the discussion about going back to A3 is absolutely important, yes. So
Well,
early on...
I dare say even the beginning, right? Look at
Yeah.
all the HP you lost at the beginning.
Yeah.
That could have been HP at the end of the game.
Yeah. Yep. So
I don't think you can prevent this HP loss at the start of the game, though, just because the spawn is so awkward.
I think he could.
You're not always going to have glorious spawn, so learning to deal with a bad spawn is, how is that not important?
He lost hit
You just don't go into him.
But he didn't die, and he actually got out.
Mm-hmm. And he used his teammate as fodder, which was great. The Nagatsu just kept going, and he's like, here you go, buddy. Have fun.
At this point, I wouldn't have even gone back. Like, I would have just kept on going and eventually go around this island on E7 on the right side and swing back into B from this side.
Yeah, I kind of like stopping and reversing and waiting to see what the King George does and then wipe him out. Like, I would definitely focus the King George because getting him off opens up that entire side of the map once he's gone. And I think that's the part that a lot of players don't get. Look at what he's doing now. He's going back in. He's hitting the default W, right? And he's putting himself in front. King George's going to shoot him. Colorado's going to shoot him. And Drek's going to shoot him because he's the pushing threat.
But ironically, Colorado and the cruiser aren't shooting him.
Mm-hmm. They're
shooting the York and Congo. But yeah, they're going to change as soon as the KGV dies and he takes a crack at the carrier.
Yep. There it is.
Which is like these shots. If these shots here all go in the Endracht.
See, if I was him, he knows the carrier's right there. Don't shoot your main battery, your front two on the cruiser.
Mm-hmm.
Turn them, wait, take the one shot on the CV, then you can turn them back.
But why? Like, he has 0 chance of actually killing the carrier in a Scharnhorst with his front guns.
Yeah, but he can get away. He's going to be the ire of the carrier anyways because he's literally right there.
So I agree with...
But exactly. But because of this situation, you take out the cruiser first because it's one less ship that's going to shoot you. The carrier is going to shoot you no matter what. So get the Endracht out so you don't get shot by this as well.
Absolutely. Warboss Hank, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. I agree with Grunty. I would not have turned into the islands like you did here. I would have actually turned into B cap and get somebody else in front of you again. So let's take a look at this. I want to highlight on the replay render here a couple of key moments. All right. So key moment number 1 is this right here. You did the default. I'm going to hit W 4 times and see what happens. No. Pause. What you should have done, in my opinion, is head towards Alpha 3-4 area. Just go straight there. Follow the border even, because that gives you so much room to maneuver and flexibility as needed. You didn't. You kept going straight. Watch what happens. The Zara recognizes the threat. He peels away and then peels back in. Oops. There he goes. He's peeling away now.
Yeah, but doesn't the Zara have a smoke cloud to get out of trouble?
He does.
He used the smoke here. He used it after.
There it is right now. Zara just used Inky, yes, and got away, which means now they're going to focus on our guy here because he's the closest target to him, and you watch his hit points evaporate. I'll pause it for a sec. Imagine if you went to Alpha 3 immediately instead of doing what you did. You probably could have controlled that engagement much better. You could have controlled who could shoot back at you. You could have controlled when you fired at targets. You could have isolated whatever capped A. Well, actually, it's probably the sub, so never mind. All right, turning around back on the border. Now, here's the part where you tag out and the Nagato literally tags in. It's kind of funny, actually, if you watch it, because watch the Nagato's like, he just YOLOs. He just, God bless him.
YOLO Emilio.
And because he does that, he actually kills the sub, so it works out in your favor. Big time. Here's where you stopped. I really do like the stop and reverse here. I think it makes sense. Now, the Colorado's not targeting you. If the Colorado targeted you, then that would be ouch. So, keep that in mind. You could have alternately gone closer to the island so that the Colorado doesn't have as good of a shot on you. All right, here. This is the part where I honestly think turn north, hit the border, and then go to A3 again. Because these guys here are going to turn away and run. King George is your big threat.
But if he does this... I mean, the Britannia dies here, I guess, so he wouldn't have the broadside shots anymore. But you don't know what the King George is doing. Like,
no, you don't. But if you can isolate him by himself, I think you've got a really good chance because you've got torpedoes. You can charge him.
The best answer, in all honesty, is you push down the 6-7 line. Group up with your team, right? We're forgetting one thing. There's a carrier in this game. Maximize your AA. You don't want to be caught out alone. And we're getting to the point of the game where a lot of HE's been slung. Right? so everybody's AA is less effective, which means you need other ships to help.
So instead of going where he's going now, if you went straight down the 6-7 into the Bravo cap, maybe, yeah. You can again isolate your enemies. They're only in one direction at that point. Okay. Well, regardless, I mean, it's a really good learning opportunity. A lot of things you can pull away from that replay, I think. So thanks for setting it in, Leo. All right. Guys,